David Weaver traveled from London on the slow evening train, changing trains on the way. By the time he reached Liverpool, it was about 11 o'clock in the night. The air was very cold.
"Excuse me, is there any cheap hotel nearby?"
he said.
"Try the pub down the road. They might have a room for you. It's about 1 kilometer away."
A man at the station said, pointing. David thanked him, picked up his suitcase, and started walking to the inn. He had never been to Liverpool before. He didn't know anyone who lived there, but his boss at the head office in London had told him it was a great city.
Find your own place to stay, and then go report to the local manager as soon as you're settled,
his boss had said. David was 18 years old. He was wearing a new brown suit, a new brown hat, and a new blue coat. He was feeling great. He quickly walked down the street. He was trying to do everything quickly these days. He had decided that all successful businessmen were quick. The top men at head office were quick all the time. They were amazing. There were no shops on this street, only a line of huge houses on each side, all of them looking the same. They had grand entrances with 5 or 6 steps leading up to their front doors. It was clear that these had once been very grand houses. But now, even in the darkness, he could see that the paint was coming off the doors and windows. The once handsome white exteriors had cracks and patches from lack of repair. Suddenly, in a downstairs window, lit by a nearby street lamp, David saw a printed notice leaning against the window. It said, "Bed and breakfast." He stopped walking and moved a bit closer. Red curtains were hanging on each side of the window. He went right up to it and looked through the window into the room. The first thing he saw was fire burning in the fireplace. On the carpet in front of the fire, a cute little dog was asleep. The room itself, which he could only see in half darkness, was filled with good furniture. There was a big sofa, a piano, and many comfortable armchairs. In one corner, he saw a small parrot in a cage. Animals were usually a good sign in a place like this, David told himself. It looked like a pretty decent house to stay in, certainly more comfortable than a pub. On the other hand, a pub would be friendlier than a guest house. There would be cards and beer in the evenings, lots of people to talk to, and it would probably be cheaper too. He had stayed a couple of nights in a pub before and had liked it. He had never stayed in any guest houses, and to be honest, he was a little scared of them. The word guest house made him think of bland food and greedy landladies. After standing in the cold for 3 or 4 minutes, David decided to walk on and take a look at the pub before making up his mind. As he turned to leave, something strange happened. David was about to step back and walk away from the window when his eye was caught by the small notice there. "Bed and breakfast," it said. "Bed and breakfast. Each word felt like a large black eye staring at him through the window, holding him, making him stay where he was and not to walk away from that house. Before he knew it, he was moving from the window to the front door, climbing the steps and reaching for the bell. He pressed the bell. He heard it ringing far away in a back room, and then suddenly, it must have been instantly, because he hadn't even taken his finger off the bell button, the door opened, and a woman was standing there. She was about 40 or 45 years old, and as soon as she saw him, she greeted him with a warm smile.
"Please come in,"
she said. Stepping to one side, she held the door wide open, and David found himself automatically stepping inside the house. The urge, or more accurately, the desire to follow her, was very strong.
I saw the notice in the window.
He said, holding himself back.
"Yes, I know.
I was wondering about a room.
It's all ready for you, my dear,"
she said kindly. She had black hair and very gentle brown eyes.
I was on my way to a pub, but I saw the notice on your window.
David told her.
"My dear boy, why don't you come inside? It's so cold outside,"
she said.
How much do you charge?
David asked.
£10 a night, including breakfast.
It was incredibly cheap. It was less than half of what he had planned to spend.
If that's too much, perhaps I can lower it just a bit. Would you like an egg for breakfast? Eggs are expensive right now. It would cost less without the egg,
she added.
£10 is fine. I would really like to stay here.
He answered.
I knew you would. Please come inside.
She seemed very friendly. David took off his hat and stepped inside.
Just hang it there and let me help you with your coat,
she said. There were no other hats or coats in the hall. There were no walking sticks, no umbrellas, nothing.
You see, I don't often get the pleasure of having a visitor in my home,
she said, smiling at him over her shoulder as she led the way upstairs. The old lady is a bit crazy, David thought, but at £10 a night, who cares?
I thought you'd have lots of visitors wanting to stay,
he said politely.
Oh, I do, my dear. I do, of course. But the thing is, I'm just a little bit careful about whom I choose, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
But I'm always ready. Everything is always ready day and night in this house, just in case a nice young gentleman comes along. And it is such a pleasure, my dear, when I open the door and see someone standing there who is just exactly right.
She was halfway up the stairs when she paused, turned her head, smiled down at David, and added,
Like you?
On the first floor, she said to him.
This floor is mine.
They climbed up more stairs.
And this one is all yours. This is your room. I hope you like it,
she said. She took him into a small but beautiful bedroom and switched on the lights.
In the morning, the sun shines right through this window, Mr. Parker. It is Mr. Parker, isn't it?
No, it's Weaver.
he said.
Mr. Weaver, how nice. I've put a hot water bottle on the bed to keep it warm for you. If you feel cold, you can light up the fireplace any time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
David said. He saw that the bedclothes were neatly arranged on one side, ready for him to get in.
I'm so glad you showed up. I was starting to get worried,
she said, looking into his face.
That's all right. You don't need to worry about me.
He said. He put his suitcase on the carpet and began to open it.
And what about supper, my dear? Did you have something to eat before coming here?
I'm not hungry, thank you. I think I'll just go to bed as soon as possible, because tomorrow I need to get up early and go to the office.
David said,
All right then. I'll leave you now so you can unpack. But before you go to bed, would you please come to the living room on the ground floor and sign the book? Everyone has to do that because it's the law, and we don't want to break any laws at this point, do we?
She quickly went outside the room and closed the door. David wasn't worried at all by the fact that his landlady seemed a bit crazy. She was not only harmless, she was also quite obviously a kind and generous person. He thought that she probably lost her son or something like that and never fully recovered from it. So a few minutes later, after unpacking and washing his hands, David walked downstairs to the living room. His landlady wasn't there, but the fire was still burning, and the little dog was still sleeping in front of it. The room was warm and comfortable.
I'm lucky. This is wonderful.
He thought, rubbing his hands. He found the guest book lying open on the table, so he took out his pen and wrote down his name and address. There were only 2 other names above his on the page, so, as one often does, he started to read them. One was George Perkins from Bristol. The other was Billy Arthur from Bath.
That's funny. George Perkins. That name sounds familiar.
He suddenly thought. Where had he heard that unusual name before? Was he a boy at school? No. Was it one of his sister's friend, perhaps, or a friend of his father's? No, it wasn't any of those. He looked at the book again. Actually, now that he thought about it, the second name seemed familiar too.
Billy Arthur.
He said out loud, trying to remember.
George Perkins.
They are such wonderful boys.
A voice behind him answered, and he turned to see his landlady walking into the room carrying a tea tray in front of her.
They sound somehow familiar.
He said,
They do. That's interesting.
I'm sure I've heard those names before somewhere. Isn't that strange? Maybe it was in the newspapers. They weren't famous, were they? Like famous footballers or something?
Famous? Oh no, I don't think they were famous. But they were incredibly handsome, both of them. They were tall and young and handsome, just like you, my dear.
Once again, David looked down at the book.
Look here. This last entry is over 3 years old.
He said,
Is it?
Yes, indeed. And George Perkins's entry is nearly a year before that, over 4 years ago.
Oh dear, I have never thought about it. Time flies by so quickly, doesn't it, Mr. Wilson?
she said, shaking her head.
It's Weaver? Weaver.
David said,
Oh, of course it is. How silly of me. I apologize.
Do you know what's really strange? Both those names, Perkins and Arthur, not only do I seem to remember each one separately, but they also seem connected somehow, as if they were both famous for the same thing, if you know what I mean.
Well, come over here now, dear, and sit beside me on the sofa. I'll get you a nice cup of tea and a biscuit before you go to bed.
David watched her as she set the cups and plates. He noticed that she had small, white hands and blue nails that moved quickly.
I'm sure I saw them in the newspapers. I'll remember in a second. I'm sure I will.
David said, "Nothing is more annoying than not being able to remember something." David hated giving up.
Now wait a second. Perkins. George Perkins. Wasn't that the name of the schoolboy who was on a walking tour through the country and then suddenly...
Milk and sugar?
She asked.
Yes, please. And then suddenly...
Schoolboy. Oh no, my dear, that can't be right, because Mr. Perkins was certainly not a schoolboy when he came to me. He was a university student. Come over here now and sit next to me and warm yourself by this wonderful fire. Come on, your tea's all ready for you.
He slowly walked across the room and sat down on the sofa. She placed his teacup on the table in front of him.
There we are. How nice and comfortable this is, isn't it?
She said. David started drinking his tea. She did the same. For a minute, neither of them spoke, but David knew she was looking at him. Her body was half turned towards him, and he could feel her eyes on his face, watching him over her teacup. He caught a strange smell coming from her direction. It wasn't unpleasant, and it reminded him, well, he wasn't quite sure what it was. New shoes? Or was it the corridors of a hospital?
Mr. Perkins loved his tea. I've never seen anyone drink as much tea as dear, sweet Mr. Perkins,
she finally said.
I suppose he left recently.
David said.
Left? But my dear boy, he never left. He's still here. Mr. Arthur is also here. They're on the 3rd floor, both of them together.
David put his cup down on the table and looked at his landlady. She smiled at him and then patted him comfortingly on the knee.
How old are you, my dear?
She asked.
18.
David replied.
18. Oh, it's the perfect age. Mr. Perkins was also 18. But I think he was a little shorter than you are. I'm sure he was. And his teeth weren't so white. You have the most lovely teeth, Mr. Weaver. Mr. Arthur was a little older. He was actually 29. I wouldn't have guessed it, though, if he hadn't told me. There wasn't a mark on his body.
A what?
David asked.
His skin was just like a baby's.
There was a pause. David picked up his teacup, took a sip, and then put it back on the table. He waited for her to say something else, but she said nothing. He sat there, biting his lower lip.
That parrot, you know what? It completely fooled me when I looked through the window from the street. I thought it was alive.
He said at last.
Sadly, it's no longer alive.
It's very clever the way it's been stuffed. It doesn't look dead at all. Who did it?
I did,
You did?
of course. And have you met my little Travis as well?
She nodded toward the dog curled up so comfortably in front of the fire. David looked at it. Suddenly, he realized that the dog had been as silent and motionless as the parrot all along. He touched it gently on the top. It was hard and cold, but perfectly preserved.
Goodness. How interesting. It must be incredibly difficult to do something like that.
He said.
Not at all. I stuff all my pets myself when they die. Would you like another cup of tea?
No, thank you.
David said. The tea tasted slightly bitter, and he didn't really like it.
You did sign the book, didn't you?
Oh, yes.
That's good. Because later, if I forget your name, I can always look it up. I still do that every day with Mr. Perkins and Mr.
Arthur. Billy Arthur. Excuse me for asking, but haven't there been any other guests here except them in the last 3 or 4 years?
She looked at him with a gentle smile and said,
No, my dear. Only you.